In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his apostle. In their names I greet you. Assalamu alaikum. How are all of you feeling tonight? Very good. However you felt coming in, it will get better. If you came in feeling kind of bad, you will feel good. If you came in feeling good, you'll feel better. And if you came in feeling better, you'll go out of here feeling the best that you ever felt in your life. We have a treat in store for us tonight. No matter how well informed we think we are, we will all get some information tonight. I know that sometimes when you say that to our people who have been puffed up with pride in what they think they know, they take it as an insult. Somebody's going to tell you something, teach you something, inform you of something. And there are those of us who figure, well, I'm well informed, I'm in touch with the world, I've got my fingers on the pulse of the entire planet, I know what's happening. Well, there's knowing and then there's knowing. Just because you see it on TV, just because you hear it on the radio, and just because you read it in the newspaper, don't be so sure that you know. There's an old saying we used to have down home where I come from. They say a heap see, but a few know. But just because you witness it doesn't mean you understand what you're witnessing. We see the news, we read the news, we keep up with the news, and we are well informed on the news, but do we understand the news? Or do we need a news analyst? Do we need someone who can show us how to look and see what's behind the headlines? For instance, we all are aware of the attack on African students in China. Now that shocked a lot of our people. Wait a minute, they're all in the third world. Why would the Chinese, it'd be different if it was white folks, but why are our little yellow brothers attacking their black brothers all of a sudden? Well, in the first place, it's not all of a sudden. They've been fighting ever since the first Africans got scholarships to the Chinese universities. The first time an African male dated a Chinese female, the stuff started, and it hasn't quit yet. But what does it all mean? Since we had accepted the so-called black nationalist theorem, that there was the first world, which is the United States, and the second world, which is Russia, and everybody else is third world, and we all in this together. What's happening in the third world? We got to have an analyst to show us how to analyze that. Had a big plane crash the other day. Killed a whole lot of people. And they began an investigation saying that they suspected that some terrorist had put a bomb on the plane. And many of us sat with bated breath, day in, day out, picking up the newspaper, buying magazines, listening to the radio, watching the TV, to see if they were going to find a bomb, find evidence that a bomb had been planted or not. But those who understood the news knew the first day they were going to find evidence of a bomb. They had to find evidence of a bomb. Because according to the laws under which they operate, if they didn't find evidence of a bomb, the families of all those people could sue them for millions of dollars each. But according to the insurance policy that is given to those flyers, if anything happens as a result of terrorism or anything the airline cannot control, the maximum they have to pay is $75,000 per life. So they automatically were going to either find a bomb or make a bomb from day one. But you see, you don't get that unless you are able to look behind the news. This is what, and this doesn't make us smarter than everybody else. The only thing that makes us smarter than other folks is that we're following the man that makes us smart. That's the sign of intelligence that we show, is we're intelligent enough to fall in line behind a teacher and let him teach us, fall in line behind a leader and let him lead us, fall in line behind a guide and let him guide us so that we don't get mistaught, misled, and misguided as we have been all through the years. What is there that if you say to any of the officials in the American government, you happen to ride a plane or something, you sit down beside one of them boys and you recognize him, you say, won't you be glad when 1992 gets here? He'll grit his teeth and look at you like he wants to shoot you. Yes, why? What is there about 1992 that you begin to see it cropping up in your newspapers and on your newscasts? Makes America mad. 1992, something's going to happen. A bunch of people getting together that they don't want to see buck their power. 12 European nations that already have something going. They already have it set up where the United States right now, if they want to make a trade agreement with France, they can't do it. They want to make a trade agreement with Germany, they can't do it. They want to make a trade agreement with Spain, they can't do it. Because 12 countries have come together and say, you don't make no agreement with no individual country, you got to deal with us all. That's power. That's the power of unity. Nobody has bucked this place like this. They've always been able to, no matter what kind of pacts and agreements and conferences you belong to, they've always been able to go in with the OAU and get one African nation to pull out. Go in among the Caribbean folks who got their little thing and pull one man or woman out. And they've always been, but here now, their own brothers over in Europe are getting together saying, no, you can't make no agreement with nobody unless you make an agreement with us all. And then based on that now, look at this. They decided that as of this coming Saturday, day after tomorrow, they're not accepting no more poisoned meat shipped in from the United States. They're refusing to let the United States send their meat in. Is there something we haven't been told? Oh, yeah. Hey? We're clamoring for it. We're fighting for it. They told us tomorrow we're closing up all of the meat markets, we're closing down every packing house in Chicago. Black folks would be kicking down the gates. And the Europeans are saying, you can't bring it to us no more. Something they know that we don't know. Why is it that McDonald's and Burger King and all of them are getting ready now to go to the Supreme Court and fight the Food and Drug Administration? They're getting ready to go to war against the government. All your fast food burger joints now are mad at the United States government. Why? Because the United States government has now issued a command, a law. You got to cook your burgers done. And they all mad because they say the only way to serve them and get the texture and the taste they want is to continue to serve them half raw. There is no burger place in America that cooks their burgers done. All the government is saying is you have to heat them to the interior being 160 degrees, which is very low. The weakest germ that attacks the body is the tuberculosis germ. And it takes 140 degrees to destroy that. That's what they do when they pasteurize milk. Shoot 140 degrees through that, just to destroy the tuberculosis germ. So 160 is just 20 above that. It's only going to destroy the kind of weak germs. They don't want that. They want to continue serving it half raw. They've gotten you used to it. Those of you who eat the burgers, if they cooked it done tomorrow, they know you'll be saying, oh, what's wrong with this? Because they've gotten us used to it. But there had to be something they weren't telling us for this government. You know, this government don't do too much right, not intentionally. For them to make a move on it, it had to be mighty terrible. It had to be posing an awful threat to this country for the government to mess with big business. Big business runs this government. For them to buck Mrs. Kroc and Pillsbury and all them folks, it has to be an awful danger signal. Why don't we know about it? Why don't we understand about it? Because we're well informed of the surface news, but we have not been able to analyze it. We need to understand, and when Minister Farrakhan comes forth tonight, he's going to open us up to some things, not for us to take it, swallow it, go home and say, that was good, I'm going to wait for the next dose. That's not the way he teaches. That's not his intention for teaching, and it frustrates him to see us sitting and want to be spoon-fed all the time. Give me more, and then we sit down on it and we're going to rap about what he told us instead of going and doing the necessary research to follow up. Say, well, now, if he can tell us that much in an hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours, my God, look at what else must be out there. And especially when he gives us the source, tell us where we can find out what we need to find out, then we have no excuse. I mean, he's doing half the work, over half the work for us, by opening us up to it and then telling us where we can find the additional information. I mean, that's so easy. He makes it so easy for us. Just think about it. Dr. Bernard Horn of the American College of Nutrition. You know, most of us never heard of him and probably never heard of the college. You know, but a statement that he has issued that came out in U.S. News and World Report, making a statement, and I know this hits a lot of us, that such cookies as Oreos and Hydrox are, quote, an invitation to heart disease. Well, we need to understand something about that then. As much money as you and I spent on them chocolate cookies. The University of California sends out a nutritional letter, and among the things that they point out in it, says that Ritz and high holes are some of the most dangerous things you can put in your mouth. I'm not talking about no way out stuff. I'm talking about everyday stuff that you and I deal with all the time. This is what gets us mixed up. If it was something that we had to travel and go to a gourmet store and go and get special people to buy for, that would be one thing. But you and I need to know what we're doing every day with these. We need to not only, I know a lot of us get in more trouble with what comes out of them, but we also need to be conscious of what goes into them. So let us, brothers and sisters, we don't want to lose one moment of this teaching that Brother Minister Farrakhan has for us tonight, because the very one that he doesn't have time to say may be the one that would have saved our lives. So at this time, let us all be prepared as well as we can to receive our leader, teacher, and guide, Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Dear brothers and sisters, I'm happy to greet you with the greeting words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, sir.
First, I am very grateful to Allah to hear the words of Brother Minister Abdullah Muhammad, a brother who is very well versed in the message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and a great scholar in my mind. And so whenever he comes out to teach, we all would do well to listen and bring our pens and paper and take notes, because one of these days we may not have the luxury of being able to hear. And so as much of this as you can take in and commit to memory and commit to practice, you will find every word of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If it were a wet towel wrung out, every drop of water would write salvation.
Yes, sir.
Every word that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad offers to you and me represents life itself. Tonight, before I mention how to eat to live, I must mention why it is necessary. Not just what to eat, but how to eat to live. A wise person is teaching what to eat, but a wise person is also teaching the manner in which we should eat to protect the life that God gave. Now, who is the author of this life? You would say God or Allah or Jehovah. But what we are talking about is that great originator of the heavens and the earth is the author of this gift that we have received. It's called life. Right?
Yes, sir.
Now, with every gift, with every thing that you purchase, there is a manner that is given to you of how to handle it. Directions for use. Huh?
Yes, sir.
On every bottle that you buy in the store, directions for use. If you want to buy just an ordinary piece of meat, what do you do with it? You go and get your recipe book. How to prepare it so that it is not only healthful, but delightful to your palate as you eat it. Directions for use. In this life, in order to be successful, we must be careful of who directs us.
Yes, sir.
You have gotten lost at some point,
Yes, sir.
and you've asked somebody for directions. And you have wondered why, after following the directions, you ended up further out of the way than you were. Then you stopped. You say, wait a minute. I'll ask somebody else. And then the somebody else that you ask gives you a totally different direction than the first person. Now you're really confused. So then you look at the person, I wonder, is this, well, I know I'm wrong following this first guy. Well, at least I'll try this. So you go along real gingerly, looking at all of the stoplights and the signs that he told you to follow, and finally you see something that makes you know I'm on the right road. Then you pick up your speed, you ride with more confidence, you've taken right directions. When you take a right direction, you feel good about going right. Are you all right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, this gift of life is the most precious gift that you will ever or could ever receive. Respect for the giver demands that you ask the giver, how should I use this gift? Huh? Mother doesn't give you piano lessons and tell you, get up and play. Mother gives you piano lessons and takes you to a piano teacher to teach you how to play. Well, if the piano teacher can't play, then they can't teach you how to play. So if God is eternal, you don't see decay mentioned for God. You don't see death even mentioned for God. And it is the nature of life to want to keep on living. Then who should we go to to learn how to use the gift of life and how to sustain the life and how to maintain the life, but the God himself, who is the author and giver of life. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. You say, I think that I am following God's direction. Look at the world. This is not a world of life. This is a world where death reigns supreme. It is so sad to see this wonderful gift taken from us at such a young age because we violated rules and laws of life. Young people today dying with AIDS and other diseases. Why? Because we violated a law of living. Some of you, my dear sisters and brothers, have deep problems of health. You say it's hereditary. Well, because father and mother had congenital heart disease, that is not necessarily so that you will suffer from that. And if you think that heredity cannot be overturned, then we are doomed by what is in our genes. But he who has given us genetic makeup knows exactly how to alter that. And white folks are there in a laboratory today doing genetic engineering to try and extract things from the genes that are not strong and good and worthy. This is how far science has come. Now, to move quickly to our subject, because we really don't wish to spend an inordinate amount of time. Since God knows best how to direct our lives, if we start with the Genesis of the Bible and we read about how this one begat that one and this one begat that one, you've probably heard of that, or you may have read it. Some of those old patriarchs lived 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, nearly 1,000 years. Now, doesn't that seem strange? It's so strange that it is what? Unbelievable. Because you have never in your short years on this earth seen anyone that lived 100 and looked well. You've never seen old age come upon any person and they maintain uprightness, strength of mind, agility. Is that right? So old age is a curse in our time.
Yes, sir.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Go and look at the geriatric clinics. Go and look at the nursing homes and see our elderly. See how they're being mistreated. Old age is a curse. When you grow old and you can't do for yourself and your children abandon you, old age is a curse. But look at those in the Bible who lived 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 900 and near 1,000 years old, and they didn't die of old age. They died because they got tired of living.
Right.
They just got tired of seeing the cycle go over and over and over again, and they had seen enough, and they had mastered so much till they said, well, let me go on and take my rest. But you can never think like, I think I'll go on and take my rest, because you don't live long enough to want to take a rest. And those of you here, oh, this is a very young audience. But those our age, Brother Abdullah, I mean, watch your mouth. Though, you know, when I think of my age, which I'm getting ready to squeeze 60. I'm reaching it, you know. I ain't got there yet, but I'm getting there, inshallah. I look at my life and I say, how quickly it has passed. It was just yesterday that I was a little boy. And I can remember my youth. In the twinkling of an eye, I can recall instances. I listened to my mother before she passed, recalling her youth, just like it was yesterday, and life is gone. Is this the way God wanted us to live this life? No. When did we lose contact with how to live? We lost contact with how to live when man fell under the curse of Adam's rebellion against God. See, he who gives you life gives you instructions for peaceful, successful living. But when you think you are a better knower than the giver of life, then he said, okay, go ahead. And since you really don't know what you think you know, then you run into all kinds of problems. So after the rebellion of Adam, even though all this begatting and begetting and these hundreds of years and thousands of years of life seems to be after Adam, it really was a sign of what went on before Adam. Yes, the fall of man is when he rebels against God. Yes, and when you rebel against the God who gives instructions for life, you have accepted death in the place of life. Yes, so the scripture says, all in Adam die. It only means that all who follow rebellion against the instructions of the life giver have accepted death in the place of life. No teacher who has come from God to the people in this last 6,000 years could teach the people without first informing them of certain laws of life. Moses came and he said to the people, this day I set before you life and a blessing, death and a cursing. I set before you two signs. Choose life that you and your children may live. Why your children? Because if you make a mistake in your life, it is not just you and me that is affected. You affect your children with your errors in life. Do you hear me? Yes, sir. When you start violating the law of life, that affects your brain. It affects your eggs, sister. It affects your sperm, brother. It affects your blood. It affects your being and what you are in your weakness and your strength, in your health and in your sickness. You pass it on to your seed. Do you follow me? Yes, if your blood is filled with debris, can you make a child that is pure? No. The child is you. So when Moses said, accept life and blessing, that you and your seed may live. That means that if you want to turn this thing around, you as adults must accept life, and by accepting life, you accept the responsibility to obey the life giver. Then you can reverse any negative thing that has happened. Even the hereditary thing can be reversed once you in this generation say, hold it. I'm not going to follow the law of death. I'm going to follow the law of life, and I'm going to obey the God who gave me life. And I don't care what sickness you have. If you were getting ready to die tonight, if you accept the law of life, your days will be extended. I can't guarantee you that you will live 100 years, but I can guarantee you that you can get 5 years more, 10 years more, 15 years more, 20 years more, 30 years more if you follow now the law of life. No matter how you've lived your life up to this point, if you're 40, 50 years, stop now. Stop tonight and say, look, no more death. I want life, and you can extend your days. Now look, brother, there are some people that if they had 5 more years, they could have accomplished something that life took them before they accomplished. If they had 10 more years, 15 more years, 20 or 30 more years, they could have done so much more than they left undone because death took them too soon. Do you follow what I'm saying? So you rob not only yourself, but you rob the world. Harold Washington robbed us. And he robbed the world of his political genius by being brilliant here, but by not taking care of his health. He violated laws of life while he followed political rules to exactitude.
That's true. Yes, sir.
Y'all all right? If you love yourself, extend your days. If you love your people, try not to die young. Try to live as long, of course, as it pleases God. Try to live a life not to get old, but to do more service. As you get older, you should be getting wiser. When you find yourself getting older and wiser, don't die then. Get a group of young people around you and pass on your wisdom to the young, then die. Then you've made the world richer by your life. How to eat to live. Now, as in Adam all died, in Christ all shall be made alive. Very important that we understand this principle, because a man that leads you to rebel against God leads you to death. But this Christ figure is one who turns the whole thing back around. He stops death and begins life. That is why in his very person he is BC and AD. It is like death comes in here, stops, and life comes out here and never stops. So with Christ is the beginning of what is called eternal life. It doesn't mean that you will not die, but it means that you will never see the kind of mental, moral, spiritual degeneration that you have witnessed all your life. You will die in a peak. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said we'll die when we get ready. And when you want to die, then you'll do certain things to bring death on. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. Now, remember what we said Sunday. We talked about this woman, Mary, right? What's it got to do with how to eat to live? Well, it's got everything to do with how to eat to live. You can't talk about food until you establish the credentials of the one who's teaching you. You ask a question, someone comes to you, I can fix your car. You can. What school did you go to? What is your experience? I got a Benz. I just can't let any jackleg mechanic fix on my car. So if he tells you, oh, brother, I've studied this 20-some years, and I have so many years of experience. Oh, I see. Well, all right. You want to know by what authority do you dare tell me how to eat to live? All right. Now look, God says in the Quran to this woman Mary that she's going to bear a child, and God will teach this child the book and the wisdom, the Torah and the gospel, and make him a messenger to the children of Israel, saying, I have come to you with a sign from your Lord. Now the one who comes is not God, but he comes making a sign that God is with him, in him, and through him. He says, look, I determined for you out of dust the form of a bird, then I breathe into it, and it becomes a bird with Allah's permission. That's powerful. I heal the blind and the leprous, and I bring the dead to life with Allah's permission. And I inform you of what you should eat and what you should store in your houses. Moses could not prepare life for the children of Israel until he changed the way they ate. Is that right? They were eating the way Pharaoh taught them. Moses had to bring them a dietary law. If you read the book of Leviticus, you will find Moses telling the people what foods to eat, what foods not to eat. Is that right? And the good Jews follow that to this day. And they get a lot of credit for following God's law. But still, they don't live long. They live longer, but they don't live that old, long life. You know why? Because eating good food, according to the law of life, is not enough.
That's right, brother.
You can't eat good food physically and eat poor food spiritually. This got to be in harmony with this. So if you're going to put good food in your stomach, you got to put good wisdom in your head. And then, brother, you don't just eat to stay pretty. You eat to live. But what do you mean, live? Good God. You all right? How to eat to live. What is live? What does it mean? Eat to live. Well, it means eat to live. Live means live. Means stay around. Means extend your days. Means a lot more than that.
Yes, sir.
How to eat to gain the physical strength to live. To live means to act in accord with living principles. to act in accord with principles that come out of the law of life, which is love. Listen now. A carnal mind, Scripture says, is death. But a spiritual mind, the fruit of it is peace. When you don't have peace and contentment of mind, even the good food that you put in your system is disturbed by a mind that is rebelling against doing the right thing. Do you follow me? So the thing that has to go hand in hand with good eating is good acting. And when you act right and eat right, you have peace and contentment of mind, so the things that upset the wicked do not upset the righteous. Therefore you can extend and extend and extend and extend your days. This one that comes to inform us of what we should eat is called the Messiah. Jesus is called the Messiah. In the Bible, the words in the mouth of Jesus are, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Right? Well, if you met Jesus, how come you don't have abundant living? Come on. You dying of the same diseases that the wicked dying from. You don't live longer than the wicked. Church is full of fat women. Oh, sisters, I know you say, here you go again. Now, don't get angry with me. The church is filled with fat women. And fat women are sick women. Fat women will not have abundant life. Fat women will die earlier than they should, because all fat is not healthy. It is a sign of sickness, and it is the beginning of more sickness. So the more you have fat, now don't get angry with me, the more you have fat, the more tendency you have to sickness. So everyone today is trying to find a diet. I got a diet. You go to the doctor, what's the trouble? I don't feel so well. He looks, puts you on the scale, he says, no wonder. You're overweight. I have a diet for you. You've tried Weight Watchers, you've tried this, you've tried the Bohemian diet, you've tried this kind of diet. And you've gone on long fasts and lost the weight, then put it right back on again and got fatter the second time than you were the first time. And you say, oh, no. What? He will inform you of what to eat. My word to you this evening is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us that Allah came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, a human being, but so wise in the knowledge of creation and the originator of creation that he knew not only how to teach us how to live, but he knew exactly how to reverse decay.
Yes, sir.
Good God, let me go back over that one again. He knew, I'm going to say it again, not only how to teach you to extend your days, but he knew how to take the decayed body and turn it backward, reverse the decay, This is a human being. Well, if he can do that, then he must be the one of whom it is written, I have come that you may have life and have it more abundantly. Oh, come on, Farrakhan. Come on, man. You must be kidding. Did you meet him, Farrakhan? No, I never saw him. I never saw him. Well, how do you know he's real? Well, I was taught by the one who said he would inform us of what to eat. And I can show you pictures of myself in my 40s looking better than most of you in your 20s. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And I'm telling you that I deviated from how to eat to live. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed from us, I went a little haywire. And for the first time in 20 years, I began eating other than the way he taught me to eat, and the effect was immediate. I got fat, puffed up, poisoned. I didn't think as clear. I didn't act as good. I was not at peace because I deviated. I accepted death in the place of life. And I'm saying those of you who know Muslims, the moment we begin to follow Elijah Muhammad's dietary law, everybody that knows us sees a change in you.
That's true. Yes, sir.
Oh, you look different. Ooh, you look younger. What pills are you taking? What are you doing? Will they ask you that?
Yes, sir.
And then they get scared to come with you down here because they see such a change in you. They think somebody here working magic, somebody working evil. Somebody saw a picture of me on a poster in my 50s, looking in my late 20s, early 30s. Uh-huh. Someone said, he's in his 50s? Mm-hmm. That man done sold his soul to the devil. They are so silly, they wouldn't say he gave himself up to God. They took the reverse. He sold his soul to the devil. The reward of eating right is better life for us. Now, if Master Farad Muhammad, the best knower, is teaching us through the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I beg all of us, get this book, How to Eat to Live. You don't need any diet, sister. You need How to Eat to Live. If you look at Oprah Winfrey, Oprah lost 60 pounds. And she looks good in the body, but not so good in the face. Her face plump looked better. Her body looked terrible. Now she worked on the body, and the face is drawn and gaunt looking. Well, I guess you can't have your cake and eat it too. Now, thank you. If you follow what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches, sisters, you don't have anything to lose but some weight. Brothers, you ain't got nothing to lose but some ugliness. Brother, look, serious. When you don't eat right, your skin gets all funny looking. Your eyes get these muddy colors. You're not living, brothers. You're dying because you're not eating well. Now let me say what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, there's no way for us to learn the right way to eat in order to live a long life except through the guidance and teachings of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad. The Bible says that he will give us more life abundancy, but he demands strict obedience to his will. There is no way of prolonging the life of human beings or any other life unless it begins with restrictions of the foods which sustain life, the right kinds of food, and the proper time when it should be taken into our bodies. That is where you start. Now, the first thing I want to say to you today is what you should get away from.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
The number one thing you should get away from. You remember what I said Sunday? Brothers, sisters, don't eat ham. Don't eat pork. Don't eat pork, bacon. Get away from that. Not tomorrow. If you had some tonight, make it your last. Because that is killing you.
Yes, sir.
That is the source of so much ill health, the swine flesh. It is divinely prohibited in the Torah and the Gospel, and certainly prohibited in the Quran. Don't eat swine. Now, Brother Farrakhan, look, I could go along with all this teaching you're doing, but that pork tastes so good. I mean, if you go by taste, you'll die easy. Because all things that taste good are not necessarily good for you. I don't want you to reject me and hold the pig tighter. You go home and grab you a piece of hog and just squeeze it. Y'all all right? Brother Abdullah will teach you in lectures to come on all that goes into hog. Why is it divinely forbidden? It's called in Isaiah the abomination and the mouse. It barks sometimes like a dog. Don't it?
Yes, sir.
Has a tail like what? And a cat. Eyes. Its nose. That snout. You see, it uses that snout to get on down and get funky. Any resemblance to Negroes in a disco is not a coincidence. That hog is something. It is so greedy.
Yes, sir.
It will eat and eat and eat till it's full and crawl up in the trough, in the slop, and just lay in it and then eat some more. That's a pig. Its body is filled, its flesh is filled with a little worm called the trichina worm. You notice when you put that bacon and lay it down, and then you cook it, shrivels all up. You don't know what you're doing. But if you want to have an experiment, take a little piece of pork and put it under a glass and leave it there for a while. See if the glass don't walk away. Little worms. And those worms, in order to kill the worms, you have to cook the pork to a high, with a high degree of heat, but the heat doesn't kill the worm. It wakes up as it gets in your system, and it crawls around in you, hits the spinal cord, goes right on up the spinal cord into the brain, and the messenger said once it gets in the brain, you never get rid of it. Never. It sounds your mental power, and it takes away your beauty appearance. The more hog you eat, pretty soon you start getting uglier and uglier, and you begin to look like that bad boy. Now, if you want to start looking better and feeling better almost immediately, stop eating hog tonight. Now, I don't want you to go home and hurt your mother's feelings. Mom got that big pig head ready for New Year's. I think they call it hog head cheese. And I used to love that stuff, brother. Now, I'm telling you, I used to eat that stuff, man. My mama cooked that hog head cheese, boy. It tastes so good. She pickled that thing up. I'd tear that bad boy every way but loose till I got sense. Now, how do you keep from hurting your parents? When I told my mother I wasn't eating no hog anymore, she literally cussed me out. Boy, I raised you on this all your life. Now you getting so smart, you gonna tell me that you can't eat this no more? So you gotta be tactful with mama. Don't be rough with your parents when they're cooking that stuff. Just say, Mommy, I don't feel good, maybe I shouldn't have some meat. Maybe I just have more vegetables. And let me tell you, when you stop eating the pig, you become so sensitive that when you smell it, it'll make you sick. It'll literally make you sick. It is no good for none of us, brother, for anyone. But Brother Abdullah will teach you what it was made for, how it was made, why it was made, and the wise God who permitted an animal that he himself hates and asks us, the righteous, don't go near it, don't touch its carcass. Is that right? That's right. Don't have anything to do with it. That's how hateful it is in the eyesight of God. Yet he permitted its creation, or its making is a better word. All right? Now, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that, the Christian world slaughters their meat in such a terrible way, under fright. You go and watch how they kill the animal. It's really merciless. The animal, the poor cow, sitting there watching, one of the fellow cows being butchered. And the cow is sensitive. That cow be out there in the field, you hear it just They know what's going on to one another. See, you can't do that. Then you drink the milk of that. That's bad for you. If you eat the flesh of one that dies under fright, then the hormonal change or the secretion of that which is secreted in you when you're afraid, poisons the meat and makes it very tough. Huh? So meat in general is not good. In general, no meat is good for you. But if you just love meat, then if you're going to eat chicken, you got to eat chicken that is raised properly. Because a chicken is just as filthy in its habits as a hog. But if you're going to eat a chicken, it has a better digestive system, makeup than the pig. But if you're going to eat the chicken, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, you should eat a chicken that is raised not to eat its own droppings. But where do you get those chickens? You just go to any market and pick up a chicken. No good. Don't do that. If you must eat a chicken, you go to a kosher store where the Jews kill those chickens and raise those chickens under the divine law of God. Then you can eat that food if they rear their chickens properly. Some of them are so profit conscious today that they don't do the job either. Now, the messenger says the foolish idea of eating 3 or 4 times a day and all between meals is like the poisonous swine who never has any regular eating habit. Eating 3 meals a day is the best way to die. In fact, when I told you earlier that when the long livers want to die, they start eating 3 meals a day. When they want to end their life, they start eating 3 meals a day. What is your first meal called? Breakfast. Look at the 2 words, break, fast. Break, fast. Then brunch and lunch. And munch a bunch. Then dinner and light snack before bed. Your stomach is so active. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, you eat till you wear your intestines, wear the lining of your stomach out. Do you realize that to digest a meal, there is a secretion of very powerful juices in the stomach? I mean, they are so powerful that if you inhale even the gases from that, you will die. Could kill you. The acids in the stomach are so powerful when they are oxidizing the food, burning the food, helping the food to digest in there, turning it into liquid. When you put things in the stomach that are hard on the digestion, then the juices that, it's like you go into a furnace and you see fire coming out from jets. Well, you have something like that in the stomach, only it secretes these juices that begin working to burn up the food. The more you eat, you begin to wear away the inner lining of your stomach. And once that is worn away, death comes quickly. He said the way you and I eat, we would wear out the lining of the stomach of a brass monkey. And that's why you don't live long. The stomach is a muscle. It must get rest. So when you eat, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says to his followers, every one of us who want to get the benefit of his teaching, we must say and do one meal a day. You got to just make up your mind. What? Yes, you live. Try it. One meal a day. Don't break the fast in the morning. When you get up in the morning, a little tea, a little coffee. Oh, we don't eat coffee. Coffee is bad for you. If you drink coffee the way Master Farrakhan Muhammad guides you, there is nothing that he taught that is bad. And I'm telling you that the best knower, not no half-baked doctor, the best knower taught us how to eat to live. So I'm telling you, don't mix him up with these quacks and half-knowing doctors. Let me tell you something about doctors. They live just as long as their patients. You ain't got a doctor that lives long. In fact, the doctors today are bigger junkies and alcoholics and cocaine users because they can't handle the stress of their own profession. If the doctor tell you eat 3 meals a day, say, no thank you, doctor. I think you ought to follow Muhammad and eat 1 meal a day. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the best foods for the human being is fruit and vegetables. Virtually all vegetables, he says, are good to eat, except collard greens and turnip salad. You know the top of the turnip? The greens of the turnip? Don't eat it. The collard green is like a weed. That thing is tough like shoe leather. You put that bad boy down in your stomach, and it's got to take days, brother, to work on that bad boy. That's why you got so much gas. He said the roots of turnips do very well. The turnip root, what you pull up out of the ground, that you can eat, but not the salad. Cabbages are good, especially the white head, not the green leaves. When you get that cabbage, the green on the outside, you peel the green away till you get down to the white, then cook that best for you. He said cauliflower is a really fine vegetable, but take away the green leaves. There are a lot of other good vegetables that have been grafted from original vegetables, though some of the grafted vegetables are not good to eat. He said, do not eat the vegetable called kale. Kale. It's a green. Eat some spinach. But don't try to be a Popeye. He said, do not become an habitual spinach eater. Every now and then. Eat rutabaga. A little every now and then. But you may eat as much garlic and onion as you like. Garlic and onion. I mean, I know what you're thinking. See, them other foods give you a lot of kissing breath, aiding you to death. You eat a lot of garlic and onions, ain't too many want to get close. Keep you safe, honey. Garlic is a blood purifier, isn't it? It is a nerve strengthener. Onions the same. The very fiber in the onion is like the fiber that the nerve itself is made from. So onion and garlic, as much of it as you want to eat. Now look, brothers, for God's sake. No, I used to do this sometimes, you know, just take a clove of garlic, put it in my mouth. Nobody would get near me, you know what I mean, for a long time. Now they have garlic today in capsule where it doesn't offend until you belch. Now, how many of you like sweet potatoes? Yeah, I used to like sweet potatoes too, but listen, you want to know how to eat to live? Leave the sweet potato alone. Why? The sweet potato is very hard on your digestive system. It takes days to digest a sweet potato. Now, if you just like the taste of the sweet potato, you can take a carrot and you can make the carrot taste exactly like a sweet potato. And it's better for you. Now, this may sound strange, I'm telling you, but if you practice how to eat to live, I'm telling you, in 30 days, you will look better. You will feel better. You will act better. Now, just a few more. He said, no sweet potatoes and no white potatoes. Sweet potatoes were never good for any human to eat. They are good for hogs, but not for you. White Irish potatoes are a food for people who live in frigid zones, a staple food for such as Europe, Northern America, and Canada. But potatoes and rice are too starchy for you and me. They laden us with too much starch and fat, which are friends of diabetes. You want to get diabetes? Keep getting on that starch and that fat. Well, Brother Farrakhan, do you eat rice? Every day. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us how to cook the rice, where you brown it in a pan. When you brown it, you take that starch out of it by browning it. Then they boil it. Then when you eat that bad boy, it's okay. You got to start with a long grain brown rice. That's in a class, brothers and sisters, when you learn how to prepare your foods, this stir-fried madness, nothing fried. Fried food is death. Sorry about that. Fried chicken, even baked chicken. Anything that makes the surface rough and hard is not good for you. The fried food sending you away from here, clogging up your veins and arteries with fat. And as you get older, the sludge that you find in your motor, you ever notice how after you don't clean that bad boy out, the sludge deposits in your motor, so you have to have a whole complete motor overhaul. Is that right? Well, that's what happens to your veins. All the deposits of fat and debris line your arteries and your veins, so the blood only has a little hole to go through. Then the heart got to pump harder and harder to squeeze the blood through this fat. So you overwork the heart. All of this due to improper eating of too many fried foods. I know you don't like this. Sweet potatoes are full of gas. Oh, Lord. Look, let me close this book. Lima beans. The messenger said, lima beans, they call them belly busters. They are so gaseous. I know when you go to these restaurants and you have this little vegetable soup, they lace that soup with these baby lima beans. And you'll be blowing people out of the room, out of the house. Have to tie yourself down. You have so much gas, you're like a dirigible. And it's the food you eat that make people not able to go in the bathroom after you. You have to declare a holiday. Put a sign up, you know what I mean? Stay out for a year. Heavy gas in here. All this madness in your system. Am I doing the wrong thing? I'm not trying to say that waste doesn't have an odor. But I am trying to say that people are dying today from colon cancers because fecal matter is all up in the intestines and it's rotting in there. See, and by not knowing how to eat to live and how to flush the colon, you don't need colonics to flush the colon. There are ways to do this. Natural ways. Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about tonight. What time is it, brother? 9:20. Oh, yeah, this is the last thing. The messenger taught us not to eat any beans except the small navy bean. And when you learn how to use that navy bean, you should take a little money and go and stock your house with 100 pounds of these little navy beans. If you can afford a couple of 100 pounds, they can stay a long time. They don't mess up. That navy bean is full of protein, the right amount of fat and starch. And the messenger said, if you strain it well without a lot of spices, you feed that to your babies. And your babies will grow to live for 240 years with just being that navy bean. I close by saying this, brothers and sisters, if you doubt that God came to give us abundant life, I'd like you to look at the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad who are trying to follow him and compare us with people all over the world who follow Moses, Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, Buddha. We look different than all the followers of any prophet who ever lived. Not only different, we look better.
Yes, sir.
Why? Because we've been taught wrong. We've been taught how to eat, to live. Brothers and sisters, I want you to get this book. Ask for it. It's here. We have book 1 and book 2. These books will teach you what foods to eat, what fish to eat, And today we've got to be so careful of the fish. So careful. You got to be so careful of anything you eat today. Huh? You notice how the president is reacting? Because the Europeans said they're going to ban this hormone meat. The Europeans don't want it because it is bad for the health of those who eat it. They are so profit conscious, they feed the steer hormones to grow it fast, you see, against the law of nature. And then you eat that kind of meat. And I tell you, dear sisters and brothers, the less you go into any place called McDonald's, Wendy's, Church's Fried, Popeyes, Burger King, fast foods are giving you a fast ticket to the grave. They had a special on how fast foods are actually killing the people. If you would decide, let's eat once a day. Sisters, look, and brothers, just make up your mind. Just say, I'm going to try it. If you're 16 years of age, you can handle it. One meal a day. You're not going to die. You're not going to lose energy. You'll have more energy. It's true. But even if you work construction, one meal. But the one meal you eat, it should be a good one. You follow me? Don't say you're going to eat one meal a day, then eat junk. If you're going to eat one meal a day, then you got to eat right, or it'll hurt you. Do you follow what I'm saying? That meal should be eaten between 4 and 6. And if you eat between 4 and 6 tonight, don't eat tomorrow between 9 and 10. Regulate your time of eating. Every day, like clockwork, you should eat at the same time. This is the way to get good health. Huh? Once a day. And when you do it, the first 30 days, you'll start dropping the weight. You that are eating 3 meals a day and are a little overweight, you'll start dropping the weight. Don't get worried. Because what happens is, once your system gets used to the one meal, you'll start picking up the weight again. Then you got to do something else.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is that something else? See? Now, you don't believe this is true. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if you eat once a day, you'll get sick once a year. At the most. You don't need no doctors, brother. You don't need prescriptions. You can close down your medicine cabinet once you start eating right. Now, if you don't want to get sick at all, ever, he said start eating every other day. But don't do that until you master once a day. Now, those of you who are overweight, don't start on every other day. Start one meal a day and get your discipline. That's all it is you, sisters and brothers, you're frustrated and some problems are bothering you, and you just eat. Stop it. You got to find other ways to work off your frustration, but eating is killing you, so stop it. Okay? Once a day. Now, You do that for 30 days. And for the next 4 Wednesdays, we're going to deal with how to eat to live. Give yourself 30 days, and in 30 days, get on the scale and look in the mirror. Take a picture of you now, and then take a picture 30 days from now and look at the difference between the two people. All it is how to eat to live. Those of you who have mastered once a day, try every other. If you see yourself putting on weight, you know, a better way to keep from getting sick is once a month. Eat 1 meal a day, and once a month fast for 3 days. Any residue of poisons building up, if you eat once a day and fast for 3 days, once a month, you knock it all out of your system. And the more you take poisons out of your system, the better chance you have of surviving in a world of death. How many of you are trying it now? Seriously? Yes. Would you raise your hands again? How many are trying it? I saw a sister up there in that balcony. She didn't raise her hand. She's being very truthful. Try it, sister. You'll love it. Now, those of you who are just coming today for your first time, I want you to get the book and try it. You cannot lose by trying something. You've taken the wrong directions, and look at where it got you. So now a new teacher has come and say, hey, go this way. You ain't got nothing to lose. Try it for 30 days. Now I see some sisters here that are exceedingly beautiful, just a little bit overweight, but very beautiful. Now if you control that weight, watch how beautiful you become. And I want to tell you, sisters, beauty is not in age. Don't think because you get 40 or 50 you get ugly. When you start getting ugly is when you start putting on excessive weight. You keep your weight down and you look good from the time you are young to the time you die. You'll be all right. Keep fat off of you and you'll keep health on you. How many of you are in a hurry to die? How many of you have ever taken the time to go to a funeral parlor and check out dead people? That's a serious thing, brother. I mean, I've been in that embalming room, man. That's a serious setting there. And you know when you're gone, I mean, it's long. It's long, brother. You know what forever is? You ain't never seen nobody come back, have you? Come on. Nobody has ever come. I know they told you Jesus came back, right? You got to understand all of that. So if nobody has come back to tell you how sweet it is on the other side, and nature makes you want to stay here as long as you can, then why not try to stay as long as you can by changing the way you eat and live, and try to stay as long as you can. I think you should. And you young men, I'm telling you, brothers, you will be around here handsome and strong for a long time if you learn how to eat to live. Did you see Sugar Ray Leonard fight that white boy? I did. That white boy thought he was going to beat Sugar Ray to death, man. But they said the sugar has not abused his body. So at 32, the sugar was like somebody 24. And he whooped that big white boy. I mean, did he whoop him? He whooped him like he stole something. Did he stole Sugar Ray's 2 championship belts? Well, your strength as a man will be right there with you, brother. Right as you get into what they call old age, you'll be right at the peak of strength if you start now eating to live. Thank you for a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
And I'm expecting Brother Wali and Brother Abdullah to teach you the science of this in the next 4 weeks. Now, this is a class, so come out and take notes and then go home and practice. Now, sisters, if you don't know how to cook that bean soup, they got recipes here. They'll lay them recipes on you and help you to cook that bean soup. And you start with that bean soup and just that bean soup, whole wheat bread, and fresh, wholesome milk. You'll be around here a long time. You know, barring any unforeseen accident. I just want to be here, you know, to see your children, your children's children, and your children's 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 children. I'd like to hang out with y'all, you know what I mean? Because I think if I can live longer, I'll get wiser. And all these young ones, I keep pouring the wisdom on them, then you just go on and retreat. You understand? And then let the young ones start building and taking the nation, and then you just go on, and when you say, oh, I've seen this before so many times. People grow, they fall in love, they get married, they have babies, they struggle for education, they master themselves, they go on to do great things. Oh, I've seen this before. I'm tired now. Well, I'll eat 3 meals a day. And check on out of here. May Allah bless each and every one of us to live a longer, better, more fruitful life by following the guidance of Allah, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad through his servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Thank you for listening. I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.